Good evening, everyone. Well, at least
Hello.
hello, everyone, because I don't know when you're watching this, but we're recording this at night. My name is Lance, and I am joined today by a very special guest.
Hi, I'm Carlo Zamora, and I just won the Wartilyo GT.
Absolutely. Not only is he the champion for the Wartilyo GT, sporting that fancy new belt that we got, he is also the
Mm-hmm.
first ever world qualifier for the World Championships of Warhammer that GW is hosting later in November and representing the Philippines.
Yeah, it's definitely an honor to be able to do this. I wasn't expecting it, but given that I'm given this, opportunity to go to Atlanta, represent the country, and all that, I'll do my best.
weren't weren't expecting it, dude. Like, so when you came into this tournament, were you expecting someone else to take the W? I guess.
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
as the community knows, we have an undefeated up to a certain point champion
Oh,
throughout the
damn.
year. So I honestly expected him to go all the way, but things turned out a bit differently. Now
I
here I
know.
am. Yeah.
Actually, I think that this is the second year in a row where we had a GT that went down to the wire because I don't know if you know this, but
Hmm.
Dennis won our first ever 2-day 5 rounder event with
Yeah.
a final turn charge where all the dice needed to go his way for him to win by 1 point.
Okay. No,
And if he
I
had
just
lost,
started. Yeah.
oh, sorry, go on.
No, I just started around that time, so I was very new to the game,
Right.
and
So,
yeah,
so he won
I
a grand
wasn't ready.
strat victory,
Hmm.
and won by 1 point. And what was crazy about it is if he had lost that game, even though he was the only 4-1 going into there, he would have lost to tiebreakers.
Oh,
Sound
okay.
familiar?
Yeah, it's very familiar.
So you had to
But
play
yeah,
out of
we'll
your
get
time.
we'll get into that later, I guess. Yeah, I've got a lot to say about tiebreakers.
Yeah, fantastic. So, for those who are just joining us now and not familiar with the format of the video, what happens is I get to talk to our guest, Zammy, and I get to ask him about his list, and we're going to go over all 5 of the rounds. We're going to set aside a little bit of time for Zammy to talk about another list that he thought was his favorite, and then we're going to have some closing remarks, and you know, basically run through the tournament experience for our new champ. So, let's go over to the list. Zammy, tell me what we're looking at here.
All right, we're looking at Disciples of Zeech. This is a very um high skill, high ceiling, and also very high powered army. If you're able to play it right. So they have a lot of rules. Disciples of Zeech. They're a very casty army. Lots of magic. Lots of tricks up their sleeves. They don't beat you by overpowering you. They beat you by um just it's closer to outnumbering you than overpowering you, basically. At
Yeah,
Siege,
so
because they're not gonna win in a fight, but they will win through targeted attacks.
yeah.
Um,
Uh,
mhm.
In watching your games, I actually felt that you'd outplay people rather than overpower them, right? Like you said, you have these range casters which are more like scalpels and they take down big targets, and you have horrors, and the cron spine, which you use to tie people down. And I
Mhm.
think and also like was it Burning Sigil or Tome of Eyes that summoned the spawn?
Burning Sigil, yeah, that one.
A burning sigil. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I also saw that, and we'll talk about it more in later rounds. I saw how you had so many different elements for controlling your opponent. Would you say this is a control army?
Yes, definitely a control army. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Uh,
not as powerful as other Zeech armies. Zeech normally takes either 2 blocks of pink horrors or 3 blocks of pink horrors, or
okay.
a lot of wizards and the cron spine, but never both. So mine's a little bit different from what's normally taken at
That's very
tournaments.
interesting. Okay, so that's very interesting. What made
Mhm.
you decide to mix these two styles of Zinj rather than just focus on one particular aspect of Disciples of Zinj?
Honestly, it was the top players I was expecting to go into. So cron spine was mainly meant for Nurgle, because I honestly don't know how to break through Nurgle's lines with Zeech. I've never been successful with it. It's really difficult given how
No.
tanky they are. They have a 5
In the,
acquired, a lot of
uh
wounds.
huh.
So I brought the Kron Spine because it has a lot of damage. It gets through their armor saves no problem, and leveling it up, doing maybe 20 wounds to per combat against flies. It's yeah, it was meant for taking out flies basically, which I knew what I was gonna go up against this tournament.
Right. So okay. So
And
this list. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
and yeah, the horrors. I took them because I knew I was facing Soulblight Gravelord in a very high recursion meta right now. Lots of new the death books are out. There's a lot of recursion. There's a lot of bodies on points. So I needed to take the pinks at the same time. So I really couldn't think of dropping either one. So I just ended up taking both.
Okay. Um, I think it's interesting for you to say that the horrors were what you'd pair up against the skeletons because I think on paper the skeletons outnumber the horrors on points. So
Mhm.
what makes you think they're a good pair for them?
Um, we don't have any other model that gives us numbers. It really is just horrors,
Oh,
and
okay.
they stay at 20 for the longest time. They don't run away. They don't do battle shock. When you kill one, another one will take its place, basically. So I have a
Right.
constant 20 on a point, and while I don't lose models, the skeletons will.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
they will rally, sure, but in the end, he can't kill my horrors with skeletons, basically.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
And
That's really
I can kill
interesting.
his skeletons with the Crown Spine. There's
Okay.
that.
Hmm. All right. And all
And
this fits. Sorry. Keep going.
sorry, one last thing. I noticed there's not a lot of shooting in our meta. There's very, very little shooting in our meta, which gave me the confidence to bring only two Arcanites, the Magister and the Thaumaturge, because it's under Guild of Summoners, right?
Yeah.
Um, you need to summon the Lords of Change through an Arcanite hero, a mortal hero. It's only the Magister and the Thaumaturge. If people knew that, if people brought lists that could easily pick out those two, like easily shoot or kill those two, like KO, maybe Slanesh,
Lumineth. Lumineth.
Lumineth. Yeah.
Yeah.
If those lists were in and they had sharpshooters, I I'd need way more Arcanite heroes than just these two. But
That's
given yeah,
sorry.
given this
Sorry.
is all right,
Yeah.
given that there's very little shooting, very little sharpshooters in the tournament, I was able to um get away with just taking two of them.
Okay, so there was kind of a gamble that went on here. There were actually
Hmm.
a lot of shooting lists in the tournament. There was a Slanesh army, there
Yeah.
was a Lumineth army, there was an ogre-led Belcher's army, and there was also Carlo Bagaporo who brought sharpshooter Ungor Raiders. And I feel like, weirdly enough, JP was the one who fought all of them from rounds 1 to 3. So, uh, in some ways, you played a gamble and into playing against the top lists, and then you came out on top for that. Did you feel that because you played again, kind of created this list around specific against like the big bad of the Filipino meta? Do you feel like that this list is imbalanced in any way?
A bit, yeah, yeah. It's pretty imbalanced. Um, I mean, sure, it can take on uh most lists. It's still one of the stronger lists in the game. But
Right.
against, like I said, against, let's say, if I went up against Carlo, I don't
Yeah,
think I'd be able to win against his list. It'd be a
that's
very
interesting.
hard fought battle. Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. But yeah, I guess sometimes tournaments a lot of skill, but also sometimes you dodge matchups, right? Like that's just the way
Yeah,
it is.
that
All right,
is, yeah.
that's fair. Also with the non-interactable grand strategy, which is Master of Destiny, fantastic. Um,
Yep.
I guess I want to start this off by saying that throughout the entirety of the 5 games, Zammy did not drop a single battle tactic, and I don't think you dropped your grand strat ever, right, in all 5 games.
Yep. I can't drop the grand
Yeah,
strat. It's just too easy.
yeah,
I
I
took
know.
a few risks. I took a few risks.
Mhm.
I'll say that. But in the
Okay.
end, it's just Kairos just gives me back the Destiny dice that I need.
All
And
right. So all right. So in the presentation now, we can see Zammy's gorgeous looking army. It's all blues, cool, a few mix of warm and cool colors here. Like um, in all its glory, you can see in the bottom left just how much mass there is in this army. Did you put the brimstones and the blue horrors down for this shot?
yep, I did.
Ah, okay. That's why it looks like it's a lot. Okay. So out of curiosity, though, just because you're in the unique situation of having gone through several armies before this, I understand you started with Fire Slayers, then you had Skaven, Disciples of Zinch, and now you're working on Hedon Knights with Slanesh.
Right.
What made do you think that among all the four armies that you're familiar with, that Zinch
Mhm.
is the strongest one?
Yeah, for sure, Zeech is the strongest. It fits my play style the best.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's both a blessing and a curse playing this army.
Why is it a curse?
It's a blessing because it's strong. It's really strong. Like it
Yeah,
fits me
yeah.
perfectly. It's a curse because look at how many models I have to play. I every time a horror dies, I'll have to reach down into my box to replace them, and it happens every combat. By the end of the first day, my back was in so much pain. It was
Oh,
not
I don't
fun.
know.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sure. Actually, an aspect that's often not talked about in tournaments is like the mental load it takes to play 5 rounds of an army. And
Mhm.
if you're playing a horde army, it's kind of crazy. Do you think that Zinch is more mentally taxing to play than Slanesh?
Physically taxing, yes. Mentally, not so much. I think Slanesh faster armies are a lot harder to play, in my opinion.
Faster
Mentally,
armies.
yeah.
Sorry, faster or caster? Sorry, I might have misheard that.
Oh, faster.
Ah, okay. Do you feel
Yeah.
like it's because like
Speedy armies. Yeah.
okay, so you prefer so I guess it's a big better fit for you to have a slower, more deliberate army because I
Mhm.
personally prefer faster armies. It feels easier for me to play because if I make a movement mistake, I feel like I don't get punished as hard and I can just reposition after rather than if I play a slow army I'm like okay these 4 inch movements I'm here like
Yeah.
okay so this is more your style so okay that's fair.
Yeah. Because basically, all I have to do is move the horrors on the point. That's the game plan. I don't have to worry about movement after that. It's just targeting specific models. So it
All
really
right.
takes off a load mentally, like removing
Okay.
movement from the equation. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. You heard it. You heard it, folks. He selects all the horrors and right clicks on the objective, and then he just points and clicks his spells, and he gets there. So yeah,
Yep.
we'll talk more about how this worked out over the next 5 rounds. You ready, bro?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
All right. All right. We're going now to round one, where he faced off
Mhm.
against Asa with his Seraphon army, a Thunder Lizards army, and the first mission that they played was ours for the taking. Tell
Ours
us
for the
more about how
taking.
this went. Yeah.
So this is my most practiced map. I play this map so often with my training partners, Julian and Johan from Whistle Toys. Shout out.
Shout out. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, and I feel like this first game was decided, not really decided, but a huge part of the game was already um just at the deployment phase.
Right.
How we both deployed, it pretty much dictated the uh, full pace of the game.
Okay, do tell. That's actually really interesting. So, how did you deploy versus how do you think this Basa deployed?
Okay, so my deployment here was putting the Kron Spine in front of the enemy base, the enemy
Right.
objective,
Right.
with Kyrix to support. So
Okay.
if Basa puts up large majority of his army there, he's gonna have to face the Kron Spine, which he
Correct.
doesn't want to. You know,
Yeah.
the center just has the horrors and the thaumaturge for an easy cunning maneuver.
Okay.
And park the horrors on the center objective. I'm golden, right?
Right.
And on my home objective was horrors, the Magister, because if I needed Magister anywhere, I can just teleport him with Tunnel Master. And
Okay.
Kairos. And something really interesting here is when it comes to Zeech, um, we normally can't target units with spells turn one because we're normally very far away. We're normally more than 18 inches away from our enemy. This is a very unique map where Kairos, because we're deployed so closely together, Kairos is able to get his spells off turn one.
Oh. Did you take first turn or did you give him first turn? Because I know you're bat reg and you all drop him.
Yeah, I took first turn.
Okay.
That's the game plan. Yeah, for all of my games, take first turn, mark my horrors on the objectives.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. So, was he able to nudge any of the points off of you this game?
Yeah, he eventually overwhelmed my home objective, but it
Uh huh.
came in a little late, mainly
Right.
because I block. If you see in the picture there, you'll see this little chaos spawn right in front of the
Ooh.
picture. His
Ah, so he
Carnosaur
couldn't
was
move through.
His Carnosaur wasn't able to get past that chaos spawn. He was too fat. The chaos spawn
Right.
was in his way. On the other
Right.
side, if you see in the picture as well, there's a huge mass of bodies that couldn't move forward either because the chaos spawn they were engaged with the chaos spawn. So he was pretty
Oh,
much
that,
stuck. That his over half of his army was stuck in that corner where there were no objectives for a large majority of the game.
did so did the chaos spawn keep recurring every turn because of the endless spell?
I only got it off for one turn. The second turn it didn't
Okay.
come out, which is
All right.
okay because
Yeah.
I already delayed him long enough for me to just take over the points and deny him
Oof.
points. Yeah.
Oof, that's disgusting. Okay. All right, no, that's fair. It's your most practiced battle plan, and I actually didn't think about it that the normal 18-inch gap that we normally get for battle plans didn't exist for this one. So it was a very unique opportunity for you. I didn't realize it. That's cool.
Yeah, so that forced Basa to deploy further away. See how far away he's deployed right now because he knew I could reach him with spells with Kairos.
Yeah.
So deployment played a very big part in this game, and it just uh, fell apart from there basically.
All right, that's fair. All right, that's really interesting. Thank you for that. Very insightful. So you ready to go next round?
Mhm.
All right. So okay, this is one of the the dreaded
There it
matchups.
is. Yep.
Yeah, I know. So, um, I have a lot of words, but I think I'll let you take take point on this one. So, how
Okay.
was fighting the undefeated?
So just so everyone knows, I have never beaten Nico in a casual or competitive match. Not once. Not until even till now. I've never beaten Nico. He's an amazing player. His army
Yeah.
is scary. I still haven't figured out the formula to beat him. And that
Yeah.
shows in this game. This game was basically just putting out fires left and right. Um, when he took priority, he won the prior role. I knew I was screwed, basically.
Oh man. Yeah, both of you had one drops. But the two of you
Yeah.
were going for the both of you kind of go for the throat almost immediately. Although he goes for it a lot faster.
hmm Yeah, he goes for
Yeah.
it a lot faster. If I won Prio here, I think I could have won this game because he wouldn't be able to shift me off the points so easily. I'd have my wards on my horrors. I'd have Mystic Shield on my horrors, and it'd be a lot harder for him to grind them down without the initial charge from the flies.
Or
On top
oh
of that,
yeah.
he rolled really well on his table. So, for those who don't know, Nurgle has a clock where they get a buff for their army at the start of every battle round.
Right.
For the first battle round, it landed on a 4, I think. So a 4 on the Nurgle clock, if I'm not mistaken, could be, is that I cannot pile in
That's a 5.
5 then, yeah,
No,
5.
I'm just letting you know because I am basically his I was his training partner last year for the GTs, and I've basically memorized this clock. Oh, and it's like and I basically tell him what time is it? Oh, you're dead, Lance. It's dead o'clock, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah,
Makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, because not being able to pile in is painful. So, uh, how did him you not being able to pile in factor into his initial onslaught here?
So he engaged a Kron Spine 3 inches away, and I couldn't pile in with the Kron Spine. Kron Spine was dead in the water for 2 rounds. 2 turns, I mean.
Gross. Yeah, that's gross. So
Mhm.
for those at home who don't know, Nico plays an army, a very fast Nurgle army. The sub faction is Drowned Men, which allows him to make his flies which move 8 inches. Uh, it allows them to move another 8 inches during the pregame, so you can basically cross the 16-inch gap. The mission that they played is Prize of Galley, which gives an 18-inch gap, meaning that if Zammy deploys or if his opponent deploys forward, he can essentially go for a very reliable charge early in the game. So it's very risky. How did you? So you knew that he took Prio and he deployed pretty forward because that's his style. Did you feel like looking back in the game against him, there was any way to mitigate his advantage with deployment?
No, I didn't. I had to deploy forward. If I deployed back, he could have given me the first turn, and I wouldn't be able to catch up. I wouldn't be able to make it to the objectives in time because horrors are very slow. So I had to deploy forward, whether he um whether I took priority or not.
Okay. All right. That's fair. And you
Mhm.
mentioned earlier that this was mostly putting out fires. I found it interesting because you completed all of your tactics and your grand
Mhm.
strat, and the game was still close, despite how absolutely horrid your army looked in the first round.
Yeah. It did wipe out the horror. It took him 3 turns to wipe out the horrors. In that time, I was able to kill maybe 3 flies. I
Wow,
killed
that's not a
three
good trade.
flies.
A
Yeah, I
bad
killed.
trade. Yeah.
It was a bad trade. I killed 3 flies and I killed his general
Oh,
with the
that's pretty good.
Kronstein.
Yeah.
So that
Nice.
turned out well. And then I ended up killing the Blight Lords with the Kronstein as well. So um what gave me a chance to move around and score battle tactics was Nico overcommitting his big block of 4 flies. So what happened was I had my Thaumaturge in the back. I moved him further back, and over at the corner of the map, the back corner of the map, I summoned the Lord of Change. Nico
Nice.
immediately zoomed into the Lord of Change. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to catch up. It's a pretty fast model, moving at 12 inches against his 8.
Right.
So I was able to go around his flies and start scoring battle tactics. His flies pretty much ended up at the corner of the map where they got stuck basically. Um, that gave me a chance to move around, score tactics, score points, and it brought me pretty close to his end score. It was a 2 point difference
Yeah,
basically
I
by the
I
end.
saw that. I actually thought that going into round five, despite how horribly it went, you've played out of
Mhm.
your goddamn mind. And I feel like if you had run the prio for round five, do you think you could have taken the game there, or did you think that it was kind of too late at that point?
No, I don't think I could have taken the game there.
Okay, so yeah, maybe another universe, another life, you would have won the prio for round one, and drowned men wouldn't be as resilient or as insane as it is. But no, this game, I want people at home to know that this was a championship worthy game. And up until this point, Nico has never been this close to losing. Okay. It's
Yeah.
crazy. The game was had so much tension and stress. I imagine that this is okay. Nico is a very cheerful guy. He laughs a lot. He likes to play with his opponent a lot. Like he's very jovial. In fact, every time I'd walk across his table, he'd tell me, "Lance, I scored like all these ward saves and stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, that's nice, Lance. That's nice, Nico. That's nice." But in this game, he was just dead quiet. He was so serious. He was
Yeah,
like,
he
"No,
did.
yeah."
He made some pretty
Un-
nice ward saves.
yeah, see, I chose this picture because I wanted you guys to see how absolutely dead serious Nico is, and that normally doesn't happen. So, Zammy, you pushed him toward the edge. It was insane.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, dude, this was a championship level game, but yeah, so needless to say, this is where Zammy took the L.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing game. I wish if there were games that we could record, it would have been this game and Zammy's fifth game, in my opinion, because this is an absolute masterclass in how to bounce back from getting from an absolutely horrible like first turn. I think even if you didn't win, it's a really good way for people to see how you cope with it. So yeah, good job. Like okay, is there anything else you want to talk about for
Uh,
this game?
no, basically just don't give up even if you're losing. Like it's surprisingly, Age of Sigmar is a lot more balanced than it looks. A lot of people give up early in their games once they see they've lost like a third of their army.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Um,
You'd be surprised how easy it is to bounce back in this game.
Okay, that's actually really good advice. Yeah, a lot of people, you know, they don't have a lot of practice rounds 3, 4, and 5. And if you play against resilient opponents, it's very important to know how to put up a game plan for 5 rounds rather than just trying to shoot your opponent off or blast your opponent off rounds 1 and 2. It actually shows here in this kind of game where Zammy was a lot more eloquent in the mid game than Nico, but Nico was able to clean it up again later in the game. All
Yeah.
right. So let's go on to round 3. So after that crazy ass round, you had to fight against last year's second place, well, first runner up, Miguel Alegre with his Daughters of Cain. You're back in the river map. Tell us about this game.
Okay, so I'm very well read up on Daughters of Game. They were my second army in Age of Sigmar.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
forgot about that. Okay, yeah, sorry, keep going.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I saw this list, I was like, "This is a bad map for me against this list." He has
Oh,
3 deep striking units, 2 Kinnerai, one what was it?
the melee
One
ones, right?
yeah, the melee ones that
Ah,
teleport.
Shadow Stalkers.
Shadow Stalkers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he could easily outnumber me on each side objective. And if I'm
Right.
not able to push him off there, I would lose the game from early
Okay.
points. From the early points.
For for the folks at home, the mission they play this positions over power, and it's all about being able to take flank objectives, which are the extreme ends of the map, and being able to either outscore your opponent or develop your middle position early on, so that you could claim your opponent's home objective to deny points, and also to have a dominant rounds 4 and 5. So okay, so despite this disadvantage, how did you win?
So I was able to take it because I was able to summon a Lord Change trick turn 1. So what I did one of those CG tricks. I casted 8 all 8 of my spells were successfully cast.
Wild.
Uh, I, yeah, I got 2 3-ups with my pink horrors because they generate fate points.
Nice.
By the end of my hero phase, turn 1, I had enough to summon the Lord of Change. So with that, I immediately teleported my Magister to a side objective, and then
Right.
flopped down the Lord of Change there.
Okay.
That way, he wouldn't be able to easily just overrun me on each side objective with the Kinnerai and the Shadow Stalkers.
Actually, that's pretty big
Which
brain, right? You tunnel master and then summon.
mhm, it did happen though. I ended up losing both side objectives to him.
Oh,
Um, because of Kinnerai and Shadow Stalkers. But thankfully, because I was able to summon a Lord of Change there early, he was able to clean up one of the objectives.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, um, he took the flank objectives with summons. How did you deal with the main bulk of his sisters, like his blood sisters, rather?
Okay. So the main bulk, Miguel Sir Migs, I call him Sir Migs. He
Right.
played very defensively, so he never
Mm,
tried to take my objective. He didn't engage the horrors. He really played for the side objectives, so that gave me a chance to wipe out one 10 block with a Cron Spine.
ooh,
They
okay.
they traded actually, so I killed the 10 block. He killed my Cron Spine.
Oh, that's
In the
crazy.
end, it was just the horrors versus 30 Kinnerai, 30 Bloodstalkers. Sorry, but
Okay, so it got kind of close, I guess. Oh, in terms of the armies,
Mhm.
but in terms of points, did you feel that you had a lead like early on, or did you feel like, yeah, how did that go?
um, he had the lead, I think, in the early game, but he wasn't able to push me off in the late game. So I was able, since he played defensively, I was able to barrage him with spells. I
Right.
wiped out the Bloodstalkers, and then I was able to take his point with my horrors. And at that point, that was pretty much game.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Yeah, well, gee, this was also a good game. I didn't get to see this one as much, but
Mhm.
I saw this picture and I saw the Kronzbein on the side. I'm like, wow, okay, yeah. It's the Daughters of Cain. There, it's like fighting Daughters of Cain is like jumping into a bucket full of knives.
Yeah, a
It's
blender basically.
yeah, yeah, an active blender. And
Yeah.
this even had no Morathi in it, so he had
Mhm.
so much bodies.
Yeah, I honestly expected him to take at least a shrine because
Yeah.
that really buffs up their tankiness.
Okay.
Um,
Oh no,
but
He's
no, it
just
was
going for
just
the throat.
Yeah, it was just all snakes, snakes everywhere, snakes not playing
Yeah,
this
pretty
list.
much. Yeah, no, this was nuts. If I was playing in this tournament, I wouldn't want to fight Mig's list. It's it's
Yeah,
every
it's
melee man's
scary.
worst nightmare. All
Yeah.
right, so okay, let's move on, I guess. So, all right, so you had some time to sleep before
Hmm.
you left the GT. I told you and your opponent that you guys are likely gonna match up against each other. And if you went out of round, if you went into round two against last year's neutral grounds grand tournament champion, you went to round three against the first runner-up of last year's tournament. You went to round four against last year's actual first place champion, Dennis
Yeah.
David with his Sons of Behemoth.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess the night you guys both had the night to study each other's armies.
Yes.
Tell me your thought process about your prep, I guess.
So my thought process here is, where do I throw my Cron Spine? And do I risk going into level 3? That was eating at me the entire night. I did not know if I
Damn.
wanted to level up the Cron Spine or not, because if I did not level up the Cron Spine, if I rolled a 3 or a 2 on where the Cron Spine eats the endless spell, I just lose the
Right.
game. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I don't think I could have wiped out his army without leveling up the Cron Spine. So it was definitely a risk I had to take in this match.
So you leveled it up to
Also,
level three.
yeah, I ended up leveling up to level 3. I ate the spell.
Oh, gross. Okay, that's wild.
I
Sorry, you
killed
were.
the Magister, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So I only had one hero left for summoning birds, which was alright, I guess, since he had no way of really killing that hero.
Right.
But at the same time, the Kron Spine was let loose. Which means, if by some way he was able to body slam my Kron Spine onto a block of horrors, that would be game for me as well.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, a Cron Spine stops units within its domination range, which scales depending on its level from retreating. And if it becomes wild and he's able to pile driver the Cron Spine onto Zammy's own army, then Zammy's whole army gets stuck with the Cron Spine. They'd have to kill each other unless you have some very savvy ways to pile away from 3 inches, which is very unlikely in this
Yeah, no,
kind of.
I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, so they're playing in the presence of idols. So everything there are only three objectives split diagonally across the board, and it is this is one of those battle plans where you're fighting in a very tight three objective spot, and you have to commit to at least two of them. And losing the third usually frees up the rest of the army of one side to try and support or smash the middle. So yeah, tell us more about how this went because it seems like the leveling up went in your favor. The pile
Mhm.
drivers didn't quite pull through, even though the Kron spine was wild. What happened?
So I gotta say first, Dennis is an amazing player.
Yeah.
I think this match really, what's the word I'm looking for? It represents this belt. It represents the wrestling style, the wrestling theme of this tournament.
Right.
Because this match was all about the Kron Spine in the center,
Yeah.
fighting the Mega Gargants in the center ring,
Hmm.
with horrors and man crushers at the sides, just trying to put out fires, stop any one from interfering in the center match, and just trying to make the center match between the Kron Spines and the Mega Gargants go into our favor, go into one favor or another. So what happened here was just Dennis trying to body slam my Kron Spine into my own army, and
Right.
me trying to prevent that. So
How did you prevent it?
what ended up happening was, as expected, we clashed the center. Big, two Gargants, eventually three Gargants against the Kron Spine.
Shit.
Yeah, I was just lining up horrors around, making like a makeshift wrestling ring around the Kron Spine and the Gargants, using the pink horrors, using the Brimstone horrors at least once they turn into Brims, and using endless spells to stop Dennis from body slamming the Kron Spine into places I didn't want him to body slam it into.
That's
Because the
insane.
thing, yeah, the thing with the body slam is you have to body slam the Kron Spine into open ground. So you cannot body
Oh.
slam it onto models, obviously. You can't do it onto terrain. You can't do it onto endless spells. It has to be open, flat ground.
Does the Kronspine have a base similar to Teclis, or is it smaller than Teclis's base? I can't remember right now.
It's the same as the Gargants, basically.
Oh, okay. So it's not the biggest, but it's big enough for it to be weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it would have been so I ended up winning. We kind of knew it by round 4,
Right.
but the only reason that happened, it would have been a lot closer. But the only reason that happened was because Dennis rolled really bad this game.
Oh,
Yeah. So I during round 3, I think I had a priority roll of 2. Dennis got a priority roll of 1.
oh, did he have the prior? Oh, damn. Okay, no, that's rough, man.
Yeah. He tried to get rid of the shards of Valaghar. That was
Yeah.
blocking the front. That was basically saving my entire army from getting eaten by the Kron spine. He needed a 6 to get rid of it. He rolled a 3.
Oh man, no, that's really shitty. Oh man,
Yeah. Next.
okay,
Yeah. Next
that's rough.
turn.
Sorry.
Next turn.
Yeah.
Again, same issue. He had to get rid of the shards. Needed a 6. He rolled a 4.
Oh man, and I know that he wasn't packing any wizard, so he had to commit a whole heroic action just for that.
Yeah.
Oh man, that
So.
is rough, buddy.
hmm So missing those two dispels pretty much sealed the game for him. So he wasn't. I feel like he could have beaten me. He would have had a really good chance of beating me this game if he made at least one of those 3 rolls. But unfortunately, the dice wasn't with him this game.
Oh man, it's a Zinchi. Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
Zinchi.
yeah. Destiny was on my side this game, so that's
Yeah.
that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, I know. Dennis is an amazing player. For people who
Yeah,
don't know or seen, Dennis is active. He's great. He's always so enthusiastic, and he makes people want to play more Age of Sigmar. He's always roping in newbies and getting people to play demos. Big shout out to Dennis. Unfortunately, an army like Suns or any kind of this kind of destruction army, they tend to be very one dimensional in what they're strong at and unforgivingly bad in other aspects. So
yeah,
the less magic dominance against Zinch is painful, and the Kronspine being able to level up from killing any of the Gargants is also kind of a scary prospect for him, I bet.
yeah, for sure. He
Yeah.
leveled it down to 1. It leveled it back up to 2 when it killed one mega. Leveled it back
Oh,
down to 1. It leveled up back to 2 when it killed another mega. So
I have I actually have a rules question. So if you kill a monster and eat an endless spell in the same turn, can you level up to 3 from level 1 in the same turn?
yeah, yeah,
Oh
you
god, I
should.
hate I hate the Kron spine so much. Okay, all right. Now, man, okay. I saw one for sale at Glorieta earlier. It's so wild. Oh man.
It's pretty cheap, honestly, for how many points it
Yeah,
costs.
yeah. I feel like it's all the only thing cheaper than it for like points to cash parity is Gotrek.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. It's like
no,
four.
not even.
What do you mean?
So I got the Crown Spine for 2,500. It's 480 points.
Okay, you know what? That's fair. Gotrek is like what, 2K? 2,000. We're talking about pesos, not dollars, okay, guys?
Yeah,
So,
pesos.
yeah, because this is Philippine pesos, not Mexican pesos. This is Philippine pesos for people abroad. Okay. Yeah, so if you want something that's relatively cheap and you want it to be one fourth of your army, then there, you got a Kron Spine. All right, disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Only for horrible people. Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. Sorry, Zammy. All right,
No,
so yeah.
you're right.
Okay,
You're
fine.
right.
All
It's
right,
true.
all right, fine. Okay, at least you've embraced it. All right, let's go to round 5.
Yes, here
Here
it
it is.
is. The
The most
big game.
stressful game to watch
Yeah, it was
next to
also the
the
most
game.
stressful game to play. Honestly, okay. So my thought process going into this was thinking, okay, even if I beat him, if he gets all 5 battle tactics, I'm still gonna lose the tournament.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
you're gonna get real used to him, but not lose the. Okay, sorry. Keep going. Yeah, I get what you mean.
yeah, yeah. So when I heard Nico lost to him, I was like, okay, this opens up a chance for second place for the tournament. I wasn't expecting to win first, fighting JP. He's a great player. He's bringing an a disgusting army. More than mine.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think everyone can agree. But yeah, keep going anyway. I want to hear how you wanna. I want you to talk to me about it. Like, oh, sorry. Before we go on, the mission in round five was Jaws of Gallet. This is the most complex mission in the entire General's Handbook for season two. You have five objectives, and whoever gets second in round two can choose to burn one of the five. So you have to think really hard because the objectives are close enough together that taking initiative is a huge advantage, but also being able to burn an objective is such a huge advantage that sometimes sacrificing initiative is better. But okay, Zammy, tell me how this went.
So there are a few key moments I want to highlight in this game.
Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to thank Patrick. He's in the call with us right now.
Yeah. Patrick Mandapat.
Yep. Um, Thanks to him, I was able to practice against JP's list, and I don't think I would have beaten him without Patrick's help. So thank you. You're
Wow.
amazing,
Uh,
amazing training partner,
yeah,
amazing
Patrick.
sparring partner.
Patrick is also the guy who wrote that list. So it's very interesting that he brought two monsters to finals.
Yep, basically.
Yeah,
Right, Patrick.
yeah, yeah. So if JP is his Goku, you're like the Vegeta, where he like trained with him and shit. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's
All
true.
right, shout out,
Patrick's
brother.
the
Oh
Piccolo
yeah, yeah,
trainer.
yeah, yeah. Patrick's a Piccolo. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Also, yeah. Sorry, keep going. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I can't
Okay.
wait for Orange Form when you come out for the end of your GT, and you just wreck everyone. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No. Yeah.
so let's
Okay.
let's go over this per round, I guess. So
Please, please.
first round, I did what I normally do. I took the center. I took three objectives, and I sat there. Okay, nothing special.
Sure.
Right. Bottom of turn one, it was JP's turn. He picked cunning maneuver. Okay. So when I
Yeah.
played against Miles last week, the other week, I mean,
Okay. Sure.
I placed my Magister on a shared objective, and then you told me, "Hey Zammy, you know that you don't get cunning maneuver if you place your Magister there because it's not wholly outside your territory."
Yeah.
When I saw JP move his Necromancer on a spot
Oh,
that's not
sorry.
the center objective, and he places Vampire Lord on
Yeah.
the side objective, was like, I covered my mouth. I was like,
Oh
I want to tell him, but
no,
this is my key to winning the championship. So
you 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 don't. You're not obligated to tell him.
yeah,
That
I
is
gotta keep my mouth
because
shut. Yeah.
I think okay in tournaments. Just for people who are watching, I think that the ethical thing is you open your mouth if your opponent is about to get into an illegal game state, or if they are about to make a move that seems very much in line with them not being aware about your army, right? Like
Yep.
if you see they seem to have an intent to do something and then you have an aura that prevents them from doing that thing, giving a friendly reminder on what your stuff does is sportsmanlike. But you are not obligated in any way to remind them of the skills of their own army unless it breaks a game state or for movement mistakes that they make. So
Mhm.
Zammy, I don't think for you and like other people watching, I don't think that was wrong. It's a tournament. This is the championship round. You expect your opponent to have their head on straight, right?
Yeah.
It is what it
Yeah.
is. So keep going. I
It
just
is
wanted
what
to
it
let you know
is.
that, okay?
Thanks.
No, no, dude. Don't
So
feel bad about it.
yeah, all right. Yeah, I was dead in the water as well. We were both screwed up by this final
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
Oh,
He
super.
was top table, undefeated. I was climbing up from the bottom,
Yeah.
so it was definitely a game of Warhammer.
So going back to the story, he failed cunning maneuver.
Hmm.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Okay, keep
So
going. Yeah.
yeah, that my eyes
Ah.
lit up. I was like, okay, I can actually win this. All I have to do is beat JP without dropping a tactic. And
Easier said than done.
yeah, yeah, easier said than done. So
All
second
right.
round
Yeah.
came and went. For some reason he engaged the Kron Spine. Um,
Okay.
Here's one thing. In the second round, one key thing that went my way:
Yeah.
damage to Kron Spine. He did 11 damage to the Kron Spine.
Right.
I rolled a 12, so the
Oh.
Kron Spine did not level down.
Oh shit.
Yep,
What level was it at this point?
level 2. It was still at level 2.
Oh, okay, okay.
Third round, he got it down to level 1. Um, we just a bunch of objective burning. He had on the far end of the map, uh, of this picture,
Right.
he had his blood knights uh, getting ready to charge my horrors.
Right. This was
It
on
was
your right flank, from what I remember.
my right
Yeah.
flank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so the only way for me to stop that was getting a chaos spawned from his skeletons, and that is what happened. I got the 4-up roll. It
Ah.
killed the skeleton. I was able to spawn it next to his vamp lord, not vamp lord, his blood
Blood
knights.
Knights. Yeah.
So that stopped their charge. If he made that charge, I would have lost the game. Then and there.
That's so interesting how
That's
close it
another
was.
thing. Yeah, that's another thing that went my way.
I think no. I think it was a very interesting thing for you to use his army's mass against him in this sense, right?
Mhm.
That was really cool. So you summoned the Sahor like 3 inches away from the model that died, or from the model in the unit that died, right?
Just
Or
the
is it from the
units.
unit? Just the unit. Okay,
Yeah. So,
that's so
normally,
insane.
yeah, normally for Zeech, it's the model that turns into the chaos spawn, right? You have
Right.
to set it an inch away from the model.
Correct.
But the Burning Sigil has its own special rule for summoning Chaos Spawn. You're able to summon within 3 inches of the unit that lost the model. It
Oh
doesn't
my
have to be the
god.
model itself.
Oh, that's so disgusting.
Yeah, so it stopped the charge. I was able to counter charge him. That stopped him from surrounding my horrors. So for the better part of the game, his Blood Knights were fighting at half strength against a full block of horrors. So he wasn't able to wipe them out until round 4.
Right.
Mhm. And
Um.
then
How's
yeah,
objective burn?
around objective burn, I burned the objective where the Vamp Lord was at. I left his home objective. I noticed he didn't have any models on it, so I was able to take it later with the teleport, with Tunnel Master.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
Um.
in this particular matchup, it was
Mhm.
intentional that you didn't kill your own Magister because that Magister had Tunnel Master, right? Or was it Ogroid?
Yeah. The Magister. Yeah. I
Right.
couldn't kill it.
Okay. Um, because normally in a lot of other games you don't, but you want to keep Tunnel Master active for a mission like Jaws of Galley. This feels very practiced.
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Um.
Crazy.
Yeah. I played this a lot as well. Especially during the last week before the tournament. I played a lot of Jaws of Galley, online
Yeah.
and on table, because it is a very hard map.
Yeah.
Um. What happened? Round 3, I was able to kill both Neferata and the Velo ZD with mortals.
That's really
I,
hard to do.
not if you're playing Zeech. It's hard if you're
Okay.
playing any other army, but
Yeah.
when you have the raw mortal wounds of Zeech, the ethereal doesn't really do anything. So I
Yeah.
took one turn to take out the Velo ZD, another turn to take out Neferata.
That's
So
great.
that cleared
Okay.
up the center for me, which gave
Nice.
his skeleton an opening to move in, and that's when he started coming back in points. Actually,
Yeah.
when the center opened up.
Yeah, and then the objectives around it were burning, so this center objective became more relevant. You were now fighting the true final boss. It's not Neferata. It's not a Velocity. It's 240-point double reinforced Death Rattle Skeleton unit. How did you deal with
Yeah.
this?
I didn't.
What?
I just tried to deal as much damage as possible, keep their numbers down, but they just kept coming back. So eventually, I was able to wipe them out at around 4.
Okay.
Um, Actually, before that, I think it was no, I wiped them out round 5. Around 5. But
Right.
another thing that aided my win
Yeah.
was during round 4 when I picked Eye for an Eye. All right.
Okay.
So I had two targets for Eye for an Eye: the skeletons and his necromancer.
Right.
I noticed the way he piled in with his skeletons left his necromancer in the open,
Ooh.
over an inch away. Because the
Okay.
necromancer normally has a bodyguard on the with the skeletons, but
Yeah.
since it was an inch away, I was able to cast spells and kill it,
Right.
securing my eye for an eye.
Yeah.
Um, if his necromancer was in range of the skeletons, I wouldn't have got an eye for an eye, and then again, I would have lost the game there. So that was another key moment in the tournament that went my way.
Yeah. Like, ah. Okay.
Yeah.
That was actually, it's really interesting that you notice these small inflection points. Sometimes, like, the difference between winning and losing a very tough game is like an inch, right? An inch of
Mm-hmm.
positioning.
Yep, that's basically what happened there again. An inch of positioning away helped
So,
me take another step to the win. Yeah.
all right. And round five was very intense because he brought the skeletons back, right? Like, they
Mm-hmm.
all 15 of them popped back in. And not only did you have to outweigh his blood knights, but you also had to outweigh his 15 skeletons that were bringing four models back. Sorry, a model back on every 4+.
Mm-hmm. So I did shoot the skeletons. I was able to deal damage to them.
Yeah.
Um, he was out of command points at this point, so I just had
Oh,
to deal enough damage to make them all run away.
right.
So I
And
shot them. I killed maybe 7 or 8,
yeah,
and then 6 came back.
right.
And then Kairos was the only one in combat with them, and Kairos
Yeah.
spiked.
Ah,
He rolled
nice.
really, really well on his attacks. He killed
Ooh.
maybe 7 or 8 skeletons. There were 5 left, I think, by
Okay,
the end of it. All
then
of
they'd
those would
all
have
have to
ran.
run. Yeah,
Mhm.
because it would have been D6 + 3, I think, right?
Yeah, so around D6 + 3 around
And
that much.
you had like three monsters on it, like a lot of change, 10 Kyric acolytes and the Kron Spine, and you would outweigh the Blood Knights if those attacks had gone through.
So the Kron Spine, honestly, it was the Kron Spine and the Lore Change was enough already because he
Right,
wouldn't be able to kill the Kron Spine,
right.
and all the Kron Spine had to do was kill one Blood Knight.
Okay, yeah.
He'd have to wipe out the horrors and the Ogroid Thaumaturge, who was still in play and had a 5 up
Kyric,
ward.
Kyric acolytes.
Yeah, Carrick Acolytes and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Ogroid Thaumaturge. They were
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had 4 models in play holding down the objective, and he had to kill 3 of them to take the win.
So how
So
does
at
it
that point, the
feel?
game was sealed. Yeah.
Okay, crazy. So how does it feel to have won that final game because your opponent dropped cunning maneuver?
No, I feel like I just stole it from under him. Honestly, I won by 1 point. There were a lot of things that went my way.
Right. So,
Dropping cunning maneuver, eye for an eye, him placing his necromancer an inch away from the skellies.
mhm.
Um, me rolling the 12 against an 11 on the Kron Spine because by the end of the game, the Kron Spine was level 1.
So if I look distracted, it's because my wife is dancing with my dog, with our dog, like in the background over there.
Yeah,
So
that's funny.
it's very cute to watch. Sorry, but
Yeah.
no, it's insane. So you won that game by 1 point,
Mm-hmm.
and you were
Yeah.
able to
One
beat the
point.
guy who was ahead of you in points by just not dropping a single battle tactic the entire tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I didn't drop a tactic. I wasn't aiming for first anymore after
Yeah,
losing to Nico. I
yeah.
just wanted to play the best I could play. So I still kept up my battle tactics,
So
and it worked out.
it paid off so well. Like I
Yeah.
think what your biggest asset in this case was your never say die. Like it's not even never say die because you weren't aiming for first, but
Mm-hmm.
it was your dedication to just excellence in wargaming. Just trying to be consistent as a player and
Yeah.
never just doing your best every round, and it paid off. It's crazy. Like you lose to Nico, you lose to Nurgle around 2, and your boss is like, Zinch just says, "All part of the plan, boy. Just keep
Yeah.
doing the thing." So nuts.
It's all part of the plan. He saw the future. He knew I was gonna lose and still come out on top. Thank you,
Yeah,
Zinch.
yeah, it's like you might not be able to beat Nurgle, but I know someone who can. And then it's like, okay, but then you beat this guy. And you guys had a
Yeah.
Bulbasaur Charmander Squirtle situation going on there.
Basically, yeah, it was we beat each other up. Basically, it was
Yeah. The, um
one hell of a top 3.
it was it is actually a really epic top three. There was no 5-0 this tournament. It was very intense. It shows just how the Filipino scene has developed to have such close games, where there's no like single dominant like player anymore. it's gotten really close. There's a lot of really good people in like top. I would say top 10.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and I'm actually really excited for the next tournaments to come up because our scene is getting more and more sophisticated.
Yeah,
So
there are a lot of players coming in.
y-
New players actually coming in.
yeah, and speaking of other players coming in,
Mhm.
Zammy, you shared with me your favorite list, and this player came in from all the way from Davao. Actually, our brother from from Mindanao, Harry Miles Silbor II. Please tell me why you think this list was your favorite other list in the tournament.
So this list has a nickname. It's Justice League or Justice League Dark. It's
Yeah,
bringing three big heroes: Arkan, Arcavalos, and Katakros.
yeah.
And it's it doesn't look like a lot. You'd think you'd be able to outscore this list, but it's a lot easier to say than to do. Because what I fought against this list. I played a practice match against Miles
Right.
on Jozo Gale. I use the same Zeech list. He used this list.
Yeah.
He ended up beating me. I lost to his list um, because I dropped my grand
Wow.
strategy.
How did you drop
Um,
your Okay, sorry, keep going. We just talked about how that was impossible.
no, I took some risks. I wanted to try a few things out. It
Oh,
didn't pay
okay,
out.
okay. All right.
Kairos died before I could regenerate his Destiny dice because he can retreat and charge. But yeah,
Oh.
Oziark Bone Reapers is looking a lot better now. They're so mobile and they have a lot, even though it doesn't look like a lot, they can have a lot of um, points and objectives. So what really surprised me here, I think the star of the show was the Bone Shaper, Mortician
What?
Bone
Oh,
Shaper.
wow. It's not it's the star scream of the R of the group. Not it's not even one of the
Yeah,
main heroes.
no,
Why is this why the Bone Shaper?
stubborn as a Rhinox. He's got
What?
10 points
Really?
on an objective
Of all the
with that,
things, this one.
and you
Okay, sorry.
can't kill it because he's
Okay.
surrounded with Immortus Guard.
And they're like a super bodyguard, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he can just sit on the objective the entire game, and you can't deal with it. He outscored. He doesn't even have to engage my pinks because pinks are 10 points. His Bone Shaper is 10 points. So what am I gonna do? You know?
You know what? It's very subtle, but you normally the way to shut down stubborn as a Rhinox is to have another Galician champion on the point. But
Yeah.
you don't want to do that when he has there's Immortus guard surrounding a Bone Shaper. That your Galician champ is gonna die.
Yeah. Yeah. For
No
sure.
100,000%. So yeah. Also shout out to Miles by the way. Miles and we've been talking to Miles for months now on Discord, and when we met him in person, I think he's the coolest guy in the tournament.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Don't get
I
me
started.
wrong. I love
Mhm.
everyone, but he's the coolest guy. Sorry, keep going. Sorry, Zam. You started what?
Yeah. I started playing with him. I've known him since before Warhammer. He played Final Fantasy back in the day, 14.
Nice.
And yeah, he helped me out there. He's helped me out in Warhammer with training, and I really hope we'd be able to play more games together. Even in if it's in just in TTS,
Yeah.
I'd love to
No.
play with Miles more.
Yeah. Actually, I think that with Miles coming in from Davao and Rick Tidoy coming in from CDO, we're slowly opening up the entire Filipino scene. There's so much untapped potential from our brothers in like the other parts of the country, and I'm really excited to see what the meta is like in other places. You know.
Mhm. Yeah,
I, I want to meet more people from CDO, from Davao, and I know that Cebu has a gaming scene. I want to meet more people from Cebu as well. But
yeah,
yeah, damn, this is a solid list. I super respect that the list that you list as your favorite is a list that beat your army, and an alternate reality. If the dice had gone a different way, you would have probably fought this round one. It would have been interesting.
yeah, yeah. I can handle it. I think round one,
Yeah, yeah.
but I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows
Oh
at
yeah,
this
because
point?
oh yeah, that's true. Because ours for the taking, like you mentioned, has a unique advantage. Do you feel that? Did you feel that Arkan is a good counter to Zinj because he has such reliable unbinds?
Not really.
Oh, not really. Okay.
I think when it comes to countering Siege for spells, there are only two armies that can reliably do it. First is LRL,
Right.
because with Techless they have a 4-up spell ignore.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And the second is Croak. Seraphon with Croak.
Yeah, because plus three unbind is
because
yeah,
plus three unbind can challenge a keep
a Lord
Lord
of
of
Change.
Change. Yeah.
Yeah, plus three unbind with universal range, so you can't just nuke him out of orbit.
Hmm. Yeah. So,
Nuts.
but other than that, Teach really has complete domination of the hero phase. So that's one of our strengths.
Oh, there we go. Man is proud of his cult and stuff. So, no, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so I think that resolves the main bulk of our program. Um, how do you feel about being the rep for the country? Do you feel mentally prepared? Do you feel really nervous? And what's next for you for the hobby or not this hobby even? What you up to now?
Okay, so first talking about Atlanta, s- I was really stressing out planning for it, planning the flights. It's not cheap going there, for
Oh no,
sure.
it's not. Yeah.
No, but I was able to, make some arrangements. So I already have everything prepared for Atlanta. So at the very least, I should be able to shake off a bit of jet lag.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? We'll see. I'm taking a break for now from competitive Warhammer. I want to see what comes up in the new season.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't want to go deep into training right away, and then the season just flips over its head, and it's just a completely different game. So we'll
That's
see. We'll
true.
see how training goes after the season switch.
Yeah, so for those who don't, for those watching, this was recorded in May. It is a month. We're a few weeks away from the next season of Warhammer for the release of Seraphon and the release of several Harbinger books. So I think that the meta by November will look very different.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's good to take a break, not to overthink these things. Is there anyone you want to shout out at this point? Just who's people who've supported you on your journey and such.
Let's see. Shout outs. A lot of people have really helped me out in this, like on my way to practicing and
Yeah.
training, getting prepared for GT.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously the top two, my training partners in Estancia, WTC, Johan and Julian. They're there every weekend. So if anyone wants to play games, they're always there.
Yep.
Um, of course, Patrick. Unfortunately, it's sad we couldn't see you in the tournament, but
Yeah. That's the
I
biggest.
played as many games with you as I have with you, Johan. So
Yeah.
definitely a great training partner. We ended up 1-1 in our practice games with ogres and against each.
Oh
So
man.
if we ended up fighting against each other, who knows which way it would go, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, Patrick had unfortunately got COVID last minute and couldn't make it, and we had to make it was unfortunately the responsible choice for him to sit this one out. But yeah, that man will dominate a tournament. He will go in. He's a dark horse for sure. Not dark horse, but he's a he is a he is a
He's a
high
strong
level
player.
player. He's a
A very
strong,
strong
yeah,
player.
absolutely. Sorry, but yeah, you were saying,
Yeah, and of course everyone else. Carlo helping me get into the hobby in the first place, as
yeah,
well as Dennis and uh, Gaston.
right,
Those three were some of my first sparring buddies when I got into the hobby with Fire Slayers.
okay.
So they really solidified my place in the Age of Sigmar community. Dennis, Castan, Carlo, and the rest of the gang who haven't really been playing recently, but I think they're gonna start getting back into it.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you so much, Zammy, for joining me tonight. It's been a real
Yeah,
honor to have you on stream and for you to share your thoughts with our viewers and the world.
yeah. Thanks. It's good to be here. Still have a
Yeah.
lot of new projects coming up. Hopefully, I can get
Projects.
Slanesh done. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
hopefully I can get Slanesh done this year. Thinking about another chaos army, not chaos, but another army. But we'll see. Who
Oh,
knows?
Freudian slip right there. There are only a few other candidates right there, but all right, we'll
No,
see
it's
what you got
Nurgle.
in
It's
store.
Nurgle. I've
It's
never beaten
Nurgle.
Nurgle. I'll play Nurgle. Yeah.
Can't beat them. Join them.
Yeah.
Ah, damn it. But all right. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. To all our viewers if you like the content that we have, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out with the algorithm, and you've heard that from everyone because it's true. If you think that like me and Zammy are talking out of our asses and not really, we don't know anything about the game, or you disagree with points that we had, or agree with some of them, or have words for our future Filipino, our current Filipino representative, please type them up in the comments below. Check out the description for our socials. And Zammy, do you have any kind of, like, I don't know, Twitter or page that you want people to follow?
No, I don't really do social media, so
That's fair. All right.
yeah.
See that guys, true champions don't do social media. So yeah. Um, thank you everyone for watching and have a good one.